Hello, Clarence. It's Patrick Doyle here. How are you?
I'm doing great, Patrick. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well.
Excellent. So before we get started, I have to tell you that your score to Much Ado About Nothing is the second CD I ever bought back in 1993. The first one being Elmer Bernstein's score to Age of Innocence. I've always been a fan of composing and of film scores, but I love that score of Much Ado About Nothing.
Thanks very much. You're very kind. It was great fun to be part of that incredible film and to spend 6 weeks in Tuscany. That
I
was
bet.
absolutely extraordinary. So thank you very much for that. It's a great pleasure. I'm glad you enjoy it.
So you obviously you've scored almost all of Kenneth Branagh's films. What is it about this extraordinary collaboration that brings such fantastic work?
Well, you're very kind. I'm sure he would love to hear that too. Well, we met in my days as a long time ago. It's almost 35 years ago when I was 10 years before that. I was a musical director and actor. I loved acting. I loved to watch great acting, and most of my friends are actors from those days. And we met through a fellow actor, and became. And he asked me to do his to do to, well, to join his very very new Renaissance theatre company, and to be a musical director and a performer. And we became very good friends. And so we've been through the wars together. We've done a tour of the world together. We toured the UK together in various plays by William Shakespeare. So you get to know each other very well. And he gave me a great opportunity to score his very first film and my first score, Henry V. Excuse me. Sorry.
No worries.
I suppose we're both Celts, and I I suppose I can very often read his thoughts and think obviously think ahead of him, and vice versa. So there's a symbiotic thing that goes on between certain people in the world. And he's been incredibly generous and very loyal to me, and I'm very grateful for all the films we've collaborated on. He's an extraordinary person with an incredible work ethic, and I suppose he demands the same work ethic around him, which I think I've got loads of, but he certainly is such a prodigious and productive person, and highly intelligent and very, as they say in America, he's a class act.
Yeah. He absolutely is. I had the great fortune of meeting him at Telluride this year with
Oh,
when he was introducing Belfast. So
yeah,
he was very gracious, and we had a very nice conversation.
yeah, he's
So
very.
given Belfast, obviously Belfast has the Van Morrison songs. Did you go to him and say, "Hey, what happened to the score?"
No, no, this just happened before. Ken, on Peter's Friends, he used um, modern music, contemporary music. So this is the style of the film. You know,
Mhm.
it's a it's a there are certain choices you make as a director, and even I myself, I've watched the film and thought, well, only needle drops will work in this picture.
Right.
And there are certain films that really demand that,
Mhm.
um, and I suppose that's well, that was his decision to go that direction based on the story and how he was going to approach it. But there are certain movies that they can only needleworks will do the job for you.
Mhm. Right.
Um, if there are many montage sequences in the picture that demand it. I mean, looking at it, because you asked me to go and see it when it was done for the very early screening of it.
Mhm.
Obviously, you wanted to see what I thought. I was extremely moved and very moved by it. It's a terrific piece of work and deserves all the wonderful attention it's getting. Um, but but you can you but there are so many of those moments that the songs are driving it. A score wouldn't be appropriate in that picture.
Sure.
It would be it's to get the tone. It evokes the period so strongly that nothing more than that would do the job. I mean, what could a score do? So it was the right choice.
So moving forward to obviously Death on the Nile, which was delayed for release multiple times because of the pandemic. How did you initially approach the score for this revisit of the Agatha Christie story?
Well, as a production unfolded, so does my work unfold with it, and as I grow with the evolution of the filming. So obviously, I was sent the script, and I read the narrative in great detail, and again, it's another great adaptation by Michael Green, a fabulous story, and great writing. And wonderful characters, beautifully, dialogue is fabulous, and each character is very, very rich and individual and imperative to the story. So my job is always to study the performances, and study the arc of the story, and to try and get in amongst it all and be like another performer in the ensemble, because it really is, filming is an ensemble piece. The costume design fabulous by Paco Delgado, and Harris Zabalukas' film work, and of course Una Donnelly's her editorial work. All of us are all part of the collage that actually creates a good picture, when all these artisans bring in their finest work and their keenest eye, all be with the overall direction and tone created by Ken's great work as a director. So it's really performance based, and visually it's hugely important. The cut of the picture, Una's cut, and where my place in that would be, and also capturing the tone, very much the tone of the story, and you sort of cherry pick your moments when you use certain instruments, and also taking indigenous sounds, and maybe playing about with them electronically, and adding and peppering the entire score with not with overt use of indigenous instruments, but with subtle touches of the location. And of course, when these wonderful vistas and incredible images, and the excitement and tension and darkness in the story, these are all amazing colors to capture with the orchestra.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the vistas, it made me want to go to Egypt immediately. As soon as I finished watching it, I was like, I really need to be on this boat on the Nile. Maybe not with these characters, but
maybe on another trip.
Yes, exactly. So you mentioned tension, and obviously there's this pervasive sense of dread through the film. I mean, that's just what, that's the way it's orchestrated. You've obviously worked with very tense scores before, with Dead Again, with Murder on the Orient Express. How do you achieve tension through composition?
Well, there are so many ways. I mean, obviously, you've got a huge orchestra that each instrument is capable of playing beautifully, or harshly, or mysteriously, or lovingly. So you choose certain instruments and how they're played. They're obvious sounds, like a stopped horn or a stopped low brass, which is you've got to be very careful. It's not mixed too loudly, otherwise it's old-fashioned and hokey. You've got to bring it back down. And string orchestras can give you so much. There are wonderful devices. One that springs to mind is aleatoric, which is you give the string players a certain region to play about with, to give you a feeling of spiders, as it were, crawling all over the instrument and creeping out the audience. So and harmonics and maybe the use of a romantic instrument against something which is very dark, as a kind of juxtaposition. So you have to make these choices as you go along. So there's a huge big orchestra with a wonderful palette of different colors that you can utilize, and also in inhabiting the story, you bring in maybe local instruments, as I said earlier, just a little touch of the region without overdoing it. A flavor, salt and peppering on top of the orchestra, as opposed to laboring. Oh, we're in Egypt. Let's have, let's have like tons and tons of sliding instruments that are giving you glissandos. These are all you've got to keep it, and also you keep it contemporary. The idea is to keep the score contemporary and always be relevant for a modern audience. It's a youthful film, so one tries to keep, as I say, abreast of the times in Scotland.
So Ken obviously returns to this with a great performance. Another great performance is Hercule Poirot. After doing Murder on the Orient Express, you also composed Murder on the Orient Express. Do you have any lingering themes that carried over from that are related to the character of Poirot?
No, this is a completely different. It's a new deal, a completely different story. Obviously, a different location. And here's a story where a man's going on a holiday. He hasn't got anything planned. The Orient Express is about revenge. This is about a crime of passion. There's a very, very different. And there was no sense of any sort of link between them. I just felt this is a brand new start.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah.
When you obviously this is a murder mystery too, so it's a whodunit. You try to figure. That's the beauty of the Agatha Christie stories. You try to figure out who was the murderer, or in this case, murderers. Sorry, no spoilers. Do you through your score? Do you give any clues? I mean, obviously, don't spoil anything or don't be as specific with it, but do you give any clues as to potentially who may be behind the events of the story through your score?
Well, if I did, I can't give it to them. That big giving the game away. There are certain things which the orchestra does, which helps the tale along. Right?
Okay.
Without being specific, I don't want to give anything. I don't want to spoil anything.
No, of course not. No worse than I just did. So there are also performance numbers with Sophie and Okonedo. In the film. How did you interact with that?
Well, that was a very separate deal for me. That was a musical supervisor job that was assigned to another artisan. That kind of work took place all during filming, and one is not always available during that period because I come on much later. But that was very much the work of a music supervisor to our musical director. Does that kind of work. Sometimes I get involved in that. It depends on the project. In this particular project, it was specifically about emulating a style, recreating existing recordings. And this is sort of detailed, busy work that a musical director and supervisor does.
Okay. My last question for you, what was your most challenging moment to score within the film?
Well, one of the most challenging things was the pyramids, because everyone's expectations is so there's a great expectation from people when they see these wonderful pyramids in Giza, and I've seen so many films throughout my life, as you have, with that wonderful location. I think, oh, what do I do here?
Right.
So which makes it sort of fresh. But you just have to play what you see, the story. It's a story rather than just the image. I found this quite challenging. I spent a good deal of time angsting over the main theme, which appears throughout the film. This kind of melisma that you find in Celtic music. You find it in music in the Basque Country. You find it in India. You find it in the Middle East. You have to make sure that you're not overdoing it, but you've got a sense of the location, but that the orchestra has to play with. Also, it had to have a sense of mystery to it. And this was with a big orchestra, playing full blast. You have to rely on how it's actually played. So it makes the kind of detail of that theme played by the strings and doubled by the woodwind. There was a specific interpretation of how they actually play that one phrase that we spent a great deal of time on for the very right reasons, all for the right reasons, because to give you a sense of danger and excitement and exotic. So Ken is got a great command of the descriptive language that he as an actor deals with on a daily basis. So he's very good about describing to the orchestra the kind of feelings he's after, and then I would maybe translate that into like technical terms. But in terms of giving the orchestra a sense of what he's looking after, they very much love him going out and speaking to them, and which he does on many occasions, and they very much invite it. They love to have the director come out of the booth rather than sitting there in this ivory tower that you never see the person directing, whoever he or she may be. So this was very much a moment where everyone really honed in on, because it's so early on in the picture, it's the first time we see Egypt, that it has to be right. So anyway, he seemed quite happy. So
yeah, it's gorgeous. The whole score is gorgeous. So congratulations. I really enjoyed it.
Well, you're very
Thank you, Patrick.
My great pleasure. My great. By the way, where are you? Where are you?
I'm in North Carolina.
Oh, I love up that world. I'm coming over. By the way, I'm coming over to. I've been invited to a performance of a live performance of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire in Rochester. Although it's a bit more north of you.
Yes, yes.
But I've been to I've been to Nashville, which is not too far away from you, is it?
No,
Nashville?
No, just on the other side of the mountain, the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Yes, and I was there. I was at a wedding in Virginia, which was amazing, absolutely amazing countryside. But anyway, I love that part of the world. So great pleasure to talk to you.
Great to talk to you as well. Thank you so much.
All the best.
Take care.
Bye-bye.